I saw a shadow flying over the Vatican. No one believed me, but I saw it. Comment below where you're watching this video from, and tell me, have you ever seen something no one believed? Because what I saw was real, and there is an explanation. I was with my grandma, standing right in the middle of St. Peter's Square, waiting for the smoke to rise from the chimney. We had traveled a long, long way, from Angola to Rome, just to witness that moment. My grandma is deeply devoted, and she had saved money her whole life to be there. She always said that watching the election of a new pope was like seeing heaven open before mankind. I didn't fully understand, but just seeing her eyes shine made me believe. It was cold that afternoon, and strangely quiet. Thousands of people standing in silence, all looking in the same direction, like the entire world was holding its breath. Then the smoke appeared. Black, heavy, lingering. It wasn't time yet. The new pope hadn't been chosen. A collective sigh swept across the square. People disappointed, people praying, people whispering in a dozen different languages. But me, I wasn't looking at the chimney. I looked at the walls. I don't know why. Something pulled my gaze, like my eyes knew before my mind did. It lasted only a second, but I saw it. I swear on everything holy I saw it. A shadow, huge, as if made of thick black smoke, but with weight. It hovered above the Vatican wall, gliding between the stone angels like it was dancing. It had no face, no body, but I knew it was someone. I froze. Grandma, look. There's something flying over the wall. I shouted, tugging at her coat. She turned to me and gently held my hand. Probably just a bird, my love. Or a drone. So much technology these days. It wasn't a drone, Grandma. It was a shadow, and it was looking right at us. A few people nearby glanced over. A man in a cap chuckled. A woman snapped a selfie with the smoke in the background. The boy saw the Holy Spirit. Someone joked. Or Batman. Another yelled. But I didn't laugh, because deep down I knew it had seen me too. Later that night, back at the convent where we were staying, my grandma still tried to convince me I was just overwhelmed. She said the emotion of the conclave could mess with a child's mind. I didn't argue, but I couldn't sleep either. I pulled out a notebook I'd gotten at the airport and started drawing what I saw. A tall, hooded figure, semi-transparent. Like smoke with purpose. Where the face should have been, just a void. As if emptiness itself had eyes. I stared at the drawing for hours. Then I heard something. Soft, like fabric dragging on the floor. But no one was in the room. My grandma was sound asleep in the other bed, snoring gently like always. I walked to the window. Across the courtyard in the chapel, there was a stained glass window lit from behind. It showed Peter holding a key. It was beautiful. But right then, there was something more. In the glass's reflection, still and unmoving, it was there. The shadow, not floating, not shifting, just there, waiting. And then it happened. It raised what looked like an arm, and put a finger to where its lips would be. SHHHHH. I started shaking all over. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I closed the curtain, crawled back into bed, and pulled the blanket up to my neck, like that thin sheet could protect me from something like that. But the worst part wasn't the fear. It was the feeling that this wasn't the first time. Somehow, that shadow already knew me. The next morning, I barely said a word at breakfast. Of course, my grandma noticed. She always does. Are you okay, honey? Did you sleep badly? I nodded slowly. Grandma, I saw it again. She stopped stirring her tea. The shadow? I nodded again. In the chapel's stained glass window. Last night. It told me to be quiet. Told you how? Like this? I raised my finger to my lips and whispered, SHHHH. My grandma gave me that look only grandmothers know how to give. A mix of care, doubt, and a hidden fear. It's just your imagination playing tricks on you, Ezekiel. The emotion, the sacred place, the Pope, it's a lot for a little boy to take in. But I'm not making it up, Grandma. I really saw it. All right, sweetheart. I believe you. But I could tell by her face, she only said that to calm me down. After the 11 o'clock mass, we went back to the square. Another round of voting would take place that afternoon. The sun was stronger now, but so was the crowd. People were waiting for the next puff of smoke like they were waiting for a miracle. Everyone had their phones out, ready to film, to react, to cheer. But me, all I could think about was the shadow, its shape, its silence, and suddenly something inside me screamed, "If no one else saw it, I'll make them see." I grabbed my notebook, ripped out the page with the drawing, and climbed onto one of the stone blocks that lined the square. I held the paper up high like it was a sign. "Hey, did anyone else see this?" I shouted. People turned to look, confused. "There's a shadow flying over the Vatican. I saw it yesterday. And today too. It showed up in the stained glass." Someone laughed. "You rehearsing for a school play, kid? Is that the new angel of the apocalypse?" More laughter. "Or the devil trying to be pope?" A man yelled. I kept going. "It's not a joke. It saw me. And it's waiting for something. It's watching us." My grandma came running, grabbing me firmly. "That's enough, Ezekiel. For God's sake, get down now." I got down. The drawing slipped from my hand, and someone stepped on it without even noticing. That night, she didn't speak to me. My grandma, I mean. She didn't need to. Her silence was heavier than any scolding. After she fell asleep, I went to the window. The stained glass was still lit, but empty. No shadow. No figure. But something was there. I could feel it. In the air. On my skin. Deep in my chest. And then I heard it. The flapping of wings. Soft. Slow. Rhythmic. I looked outside. On the garden wall. A white crow. Alone. Staring right at me. It made no sense. I'd never seen a white crow in my life. No priest ever mentioned it. No statue looked like that. But there it was. Still. As if it was the one waiting for me now. And in that moment I knew. The shadow didn't just want me to see it. It wanted me to follow it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept tossing and turning in bed, listening as the noise from the streets slowly faded into silence. A silence so thick, even my thoughts sounded loud. The image of the white crow on the garden wall wouldn't leave my mind. It was like it was still there, waiting, frozen in time. But what haunted me most was the stained glass, that soft chapel light, always glowing through the night, and that figure that had appeared behind it. The shadow. I couldn't explain it, but I felt it wasn't just an apparition. It wanted to be seen. By me. I got up slowly, trying not to wake my grandma, put on my coat, and grabbed my flashlight. I didn't plan to go far, just out to the courtyard, maybe the chapel, just to see. I don't know. To make sure I wasn't losing my mind. I crept down the stairs in silence, the convent asleep all around me. When I opened the back door and stepped into the garden, a chill ran up my legs. The grass was still damp with dew. The sky was covered in thick clouds, hiding the stars. There was no moon, just the light from the chapel window, still glowing. I walked toward it with small, careful steps, barely making a sound. The stained glass was beautiful, St. Peter, holding a golden key in one hand and his other arm outstretched, like he was offering something. But then I stopped, because in the middle of the image, there was a dark blur, as if something was inside the light. Not behind the glass. Inside it. The shadow was there. Again. It didn't move, but it felt alive, breathing, like a liquid presence inside the solid color of the stained glass. I stood still, staring, feeling my chest rise and fall faster than it should. Then I noticed the white crow was there too, perched on the window ledge, motionless, watching me. Its eyes gleamed in the dark, unblinking. It slowly turned its head, pointing its beak toward the side of the chapel. I understood instantly. It wanted me to follow. I walked around the building, pushing past low shrubs until I reached a side door. It was unlocked. I pushed it open gently. It creaked. Inside, everything was dark. The scent of wax and old wood filled the air. The chapel wasn't big, but it was full of symbols, statues of saints, tall windows, worn pews. At the altar, a simple wooden cross. And beneath it, an open book. I stepped closer, careful. Every floorboard creaked like it was warning me. The book was old. Yellowed pages. Letters in Latin. But right there, in the middle of all that strange text, was a sketch. A hand-drawn image. It was her. The shadow. Exactly like the one I drew in my notebook. And beneath the drawing, written in shaky handwriting, "Whenever the smoke is black, she will return. Whenever there is injustice in the voting, she will walk." My whole body went cold. This wasn't just in my head. It wasn't a dream. Others had seen her too. Others knew. I heard a sound behind me. I turned fast. She was there, not reflected, present, standing in the center of the chapel, still, breathing, alive. I didn't run. I couldn't. She lifted her arm, and once again, made the gesture in front of her mouth. SHHHHH. But this time, it wasn't a request. It was a command. My heart pounded so hard I could hear the blood in my ears. The shadow moved. Slowly. It passed right through me, like smoke drifting through wind. And for a split second, I felt something being placed inside me. Not an object. A secret. When I turned around, she was gone. The white crow had vanished too. I was alone in the chapel. But I had never felt so watched in my life. The next morning, my grandma said I looked pale. "Are you sick, my son?" "No, just tired," I lied. How could I explain that I'd spent the night inside the chapel, face to face with a living shadow, reading from an ancient book that talked about black smoke and injustice among the votes? If even I couldn't process it, how could I expect her to believe? Still, I tried. After breakfast, we went for a walk in the convent's garden. She liked to pray there, among the low trees and the scent of jasmine. I waited until she finished her Hail Mary, and then I spoke. "Grandma, last night I went inside the chapel." She looked at me calmly. "You went in? At that hour?" "Yeah, because she was there again. The shadow, in the stained glass." She closed her eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. "Ezekiel, we've talked about this. You're nervous. The Pope hasn't been chosen yet. Everyone's anxious. Grandma, please listen. I saw her, and there was a book, an old one in Latin. There was a drawing of her, just like the one I made, and it said that whenever the smoke is black, she'll return." My voice began to shake. I just wanted her to believe me. That's all. But she crossed her arms. S. "You went into the chapel alone? In the middle of the night?" I nodded. "That's dangerous, Ezekiel. Do you realize that? What if someone had seen you? What if they'd taken you? What if this shadow is just in your head?" "It's not in my head. I see it. I feel it," I shouted, no longer able to hold it in. She went quiet. It was a long silence. Heavy. And it hurt more than any words ever could. That afternoon, St. Peter's Square was once again packed. Another crucial moment was coming. The smoke would rise again. But I was restless. I needed to show someone. Anyone. I needed someone to hear me. To see what I saw. I tore a blank page from my notebook and quickly drew the shadow again. The hooded figure. The long arms. The body made of smoke. The presence that floated and pointed to silence. I held the drawing up for everyone to see. "I saw this. It's inside the Vatican. It's waiting for something." I shouted. A few tourists stopped. A man snapped a photo and laughed. "Selling souvenirs, kid? Gonna write a horror book," joked another. "Is that a cosplay of the devil?" A woman mocked. I was shaking. "Doesn't anyone hear me?" I asked. "There's something in there. A shadow that shows up every time the smoke is black." More laughter. More phones pointed at me. More disregard. Then a Vatican security guard approached. "Hey kid, put that paper away. Don't cause a scene." "But it's true. True or not, this is a place of respect. Go home." My grandma came running, clearly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir. He's just a child." "Exactly," said the guard. "And children shouldn't be messing with things like this." Back in the room, my grandma hugged me, but I stood stiff. I didn't want comfort. I wanted to be believed. "You're seeing too much, Ezekiel," she whispered. "And when we see too much, sometimes we end up alone." My eyes filled with tears. But I didn't cry. Not in front of her. That night, I stared at the window. But this time, the shadow didn't come. What came was the white crow. Again, perched on the same wall. This time, it was holding something in its beak. And it dropped it. It fell gently, floating like a dry leaf. I ran outside and picked up the paper. It was a page, torn from the old book. And written on it was, "He will only come when someone dares to see." The journal was covered in dust. The leather on the cover was cracked. It looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. But what truly stunned me was the handwritten phrase on the inside cover, "For whoever has the courage to see." It felt like it was speaking directly to me, as if the book already knew I would come. I sat on the stone floor, leaning against a bookshelf, and carefully opened it. The first pages were in Latin. Many words faded. But as I flipped through, I found sections in French, Italian, and Portuguese. It was a journal, written by someone who had lived inside the conclave. Someone who saw what wasn't meant to be seen. The name appeared only once, in small letters at the corner of a page. Cardinal Macoan Dosso, African, 1958 to 1978. I kept reading what I could understand, skipping over the parts written in codes or languages I didn't recognize. There are eyes in the smoke. Each time they reject a name that truly represents God's people, she appears. The shadow is not an enemy. She is a witness. She returns whenever lies try to wear the robes of truth. A shiver ran through me. I kept reading. In 1978, I was considered. But the night before the vote, I fell ill. They said it was my heart. But I know the truth. I was silenced. Not by men, by forces that move where light cannot reach. On the next page, a drawing. The shadow hovering above the dome of the Sistine Chapel. Black smoke rising. And below it, the face of a black cardinal. Further down, written in red ink. She does not protect the weak. She guards the truth. I closed the journal for a moment, my hands trembling. All of it was swallowing me from the inside. This wasn't just about me. And it wasn't just about now. It was about how many had been erased. How many names had been swallowed by the black smoke. How many stories never reached the people. And the shadow, she was there because of that. Because no one wanted to see. Because no one listened to the children. The poor. The different. She wasn't a monster. She was a sign. A warning. Maybe even a chance. I returned to the room still dizzy from what I had just read. My grandma was praying when I walked in. She looked at me, relief first, then suspicion. "Where were you, Ezekiel?" Seeing the truth, I answered, more to myself than to her. She frowned. "You look pale, child. Tell me the truth. What's going on with you?" "They're hiding things, Grandma. Big things. Things that could change everything." She came closer, kneeling in front of me. "Son, what are you talking about?" "The shadow. She shows up whenever something unjust happens in the conclave. Whenever someone good, someone true, is about to be erased." My grandma held my hands tightly. "Are you talking about visions? Spirits?" "I'm talking about secrets. About truths the black smoke tries to hide." She stayed quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "And what does this shadow want with you?" That question echoed inside me. I didn't know the answer yet, but I could feel it. She was close. That night, I stared out the window watching the sky. The smoke would rise again the next day. Another vote. Another sign. I closed my eyes, and for a moment, I saw the shadow again. But not in the stained glass. Not on the rooftop. Inside me. As if, by reading the journal, I had let her in. As if now, she lived in me, moved through me, guided me. But instead of fear, what I felt was strength, and one clear certainty. If no one else dared to see, then I would be the first. The bells rang, the crowd roared, and the white smoke rose, clear, light, and final. For a moment, I stopped breathing. I looked up, then ahead. Everyone was cheering, hugging, crying. My grandma dropped to her knees, hands raised in prayer. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you." But inside me something was wrong. Very wrong. I felt a chill, not from emotion, but from unease. Yes, the smoke was white. But what it brought was not justice. Minutes later, the square's loudspeakers came to life. The crowd went silent, waiting for the announcement. Then came the trembling, solemn voice of the Cardinal Protodeacon. "Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum. Habemus papam." Applause erupted. The world seemed to stop in that moment. But when he said the name, Dominum Cardinalum Alberto Gagliardi, my heart sank. It wasn't Elias. It wasn't him. It was Gagliardi, an Italian cardinal known for his conservative stance, beloved by the traditional wing of the Curia, and, as far as I knew, not even among the favorites. My mouth went dry. The sound of the crowd faded. Like everything was underwater. I looked up at the sky, hoping to see the crow. Nothing. I looked at the top of the Sistine Chapel, hoping to see the shadow. Nothing. And that's when I asked myself, why? If all of it was real, why wasn't he chosen? Why did the shadow show me all that? What's the point of visions, if in the end everything stays the same? My grandmother was crying tears of joy beside me. I said nothing. Back at the convent, I packed in silence. On the way to the airport, I didn't say a word. My grandma tried to make conversation. She said the new pope seemed kind, that she had hoped for better days. I just stared out the window, clutching my notebook to my chest, like it would turn to dust if I let go. In my head, one thought repeated. The shadow failed. Or maybe I understood it all wrong. We got home late that night. I locked myself in my room, dropped my backpack in the corner, laid flat on the bed, staring at the ceiling as if an answer might fall from it. Nothing. I opened the notebook, went over the drawings, the notes, the names, the journal pages I had copied by hand. Everything looked more fragile now, like the scribbles of a confused mind. I grabbed the drawing of the shadow and crushed it, threw it on the floor. Lies. All of it lies. Just my imagination. Just a desperate wish for a miracle. I closed my eyes, and for the first time since Rome, I cried. I don't know how long it had been. I must have fallen asleep or passed out. I woke up to the lamp flickering, but I hadn't left it on. The light was flickering, low, warm, strange. Then I heard it, the sound of wings. Slow, cutting through the silence. I sat up in a panic, and in the corner of my room, she was there. The shadow, but different now, lighter, almost transparent, as if she were dissolving into light. Behind her, someone, a human figure, tall, dressed in white, a face I couldn't see, but that radiated peace. The shadow floated toward me, stopped just inches away, and without a word, extended her hand. In the center of her palm, a glow, something small, round, golden, a key. Before I could say anything, everything went black. The shadow vanished. The figure disappeared. The light returned to normal. And I was sitting on my bed, with the golden key, in my hand. I woke up still holding it. Golden, cold, real. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't a dream. I was alone in the room, but it felt like someone was still there, watching or protecting. The shadow, the figure, the light. I took a deep breath, looked out the window. The sky was clear. No smoke, no signs. But it wasn't silent. There was a kind of peace in the air. Not the peace of someone who has won, but of someone who has understood. I spent the whole day quiet. Didn't talk to my grandma. Didn't turn on the TV. Didn't want to hear anything about the new pope. I stayed in my room, notebook open, the key resting on top of it. I wrote down everything I could remember from the vision. I drew the figure behind the shadow, the outstretched hand, the light, and one question kept echoing in my head. Why show me all of that, if in the end, Elias Mbala wasn't chosen? I needed to understand. So that night, I did something I had never done before. I knelt down, not to repeat memorized prayers, but to speak with honesty. I don't know who or what you are. I don't know if you're an angel, a memory, an old wound, but I saw you, and you saw me. I just want to know, why wasn't he chosen? Why, after everything, did the world stay the same? The silence in the room seemed to hold me. I closed my eyes, and then I understood, not with my ears, but with my heart. He wasn't chosen, because it wasn't time, but he wasn't forgotten either. The shadow didn't come for him. She came because of him, and she came for me too, because someone had to see, to remember, to tell. Someone had to remind the world that the miracle isn't just in the white smoke. The miracle is the courage of the one who walks into the Sistine Chapel with a clean heart, even knowing they won't be chosen. The miracle is refusing to stay silent when the system tries to erase you. The miracle was Elias Mbala not giving up. And the key, it wasn't from the Vatican. It didn't open doors of stone. It was the symbol of something else. A calling, a mission, a secret now entrusted to me. I picked up the notebook, wrote on the last page. The Pope wasn't black, but heaven saw what happened, and heaven does not forget. The shadow still hovers over history, but she is not a curse. She is a warning. She is resistance. She is promise. When the next smoke rises, someone will remember what happened here, and if no one remembers, then I'll be the first to tell it. A few days later, I received a letter. No return address. Just my name handwritten. Inside, a single page from a newspaper. A photo of the new Pope, standing next to Elias Mbala. The headline read, Pope Gagliardi names African cardinal as personal advisor for the church's outreach to the margins. Beneath the photo, Elias was smiling, peaceful, present. In the image, pinned to the sleeve of his red robe, a small brooch, in the shape of a key, golden. I smiled, because I understood. The shadow didn't come to stop anything. She came to prepare. Elias didn't take the throne, but he stood tall, and that is already a revolution. Today I'm 12 years old, but I carry something bigger than my age. I don't know if I'll become a priest, or a pope, or a writer. I just know that since that day, I've never again doubted what I saw. And if one day, during a future election, a child yells from the crowd that they saw a shadow fly over the Vatican walls, believe them, because sometimes the one who sees the impossible is the one carrying the truth the world still isn't ready to hear. And the day the smoke rises again, if it's white, let it be just. If it's black, let it be a warning. But if it's golden, it means the key has finally found the door. And now tell me, do you believe the boy really saw the shadow? Or has the truth been buried once again? Backhand index pointing down, comment below what touched you most in this story. Let's talk about it. Outbox Stray, share this video with someone who needs to reflect on faith, courage, and the secrets still hanging in the air. Pushpin, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the stories that will stir your heart and challenge your mind. Movie camera, and don't leave yet. Click on the videos appearing on your screen now. Each one holds a hidden truth that maybe the world still isn't ready to see.